Welcome to the Divine Gossip Podcast. I'm your host, Mackenzie Foster, a professional psychic medium, tarot reader, and spiritual mentor, here to provide you with the next steps towards your dream reality, along with clarity and deep validation while on your spiritual journey. I have an immense passion for all things paranormal, spiritual, and of course, having some super fun chats with incredibly knowledgeable people. In each episode, we will expand our minds, ignite our inner psychics, embrace our spiritual awakening journeys, and live a super grounded, witchy life. I hope you learned something new in today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Divine Gossip Podcast. I am your host, Mackenzie Foster. Happy Tuesday. I'm so glad you're here. I can immediately hear my chair creaking a lot, so I apologize about that. And I'm now noticing, well, I kind of already noticed this, but I don't know how to fix it yet. So the if you're watching on YouTube, the video version of my podcast, my video is slower than my audio. So the words are a little bit messed up, but it's not that bad. I can just notice every little thing that's wrong all the time. So anyway, hey guys, how are we doing? I'm so excited to record this. I have had an interesting morning. Like I said, I'm very excited to record this, but specifically because I have a lot to say. I'm excited to record the after show for the Soul Guidance membership people. I'm very excited about this episode. So let me just pull up my notes. As always, I'm going to be looking to my right at my screens. Also, freshly out of the shower, no makeup. So if that's why you think I look dead, that's why. I don't have any blush on. This is what I look like with no lip color and no blush. Anyway, anywho, this episode's gonna be silly. Can you tell? It's gonna be silly, it's gonna be authentic, it's gonna be funny, but it's also gonna be helpful because today we're talking about how to stop doubting your intuition. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to rename this episode because I want to make it something different, because I'm mostly going to be talking about the identity shift you have to create and do in order to stop doubting your intuition forever. And there's so much I want to say about that. But I'm going to be looking at like a rough draft of notes, but it's mostly going to be channeled. So I want you to take notes. I want you to come back to this when you need to listen to it, when you need to hear it. I want you to share this episode with whoever you feel needs to hear it. And if you have any questions that came up during this episode, or anything you want to share, anything that maybe resonated hard or whatever, if you want to share anything with me, you can go to the episode notes, the episode description, and there should be a link to a Google form that you can fill out and submit. And it's just like questions for Divine Gossip, sharing, all of that. So yeah, you can talk to me through there, or you can message me on any social media platform or my website. Because I do want to hear your thoughts about this episode, because this was a huge, huge, huge lesson in the beginning of my spiritual awakening, and in the beginning of me diving into my intuitive gifts and my witchcraft journey and my spiritual journey, all of it. So I felt the need to talk about it today because it's such a important foundational piece of being a psychic witch, of having a spiritual life, of living a spiritual practice. So I'm very excited to dive in. I think I'm going to save all of like anything I want to offer you guys. I want to talk about my services a little bit, like what's going on in the Mackenzie Collective world, but I think I want to save that towards the end because it'll probably tie into why I do what I do, of course. So we're going to save all of that till the end. The video is definitely behind. Well, just a little bit. It's not too bad. It's a little off, but I mean, I would still watch it if I liked the person. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop second guessing it. But yeah, I had an interesting morning. Just to like update you guys very quickly. I'm gonna go into like more personal stories that have taught me so much recently and more personal stuff in the after show, like always, of course. But I do want to give my normal episode listeners a little update on my life. So I kind of am developing a whole in-person side to my business now. I mean, obviously I am. So my best friend Megan Feakin and her aunt MJ have started a in-person spiritual community hangout place, the Holistic Treehouse. And I'm a reader there every Wednesday and Friday, but I've been doing so many events there and workshops on top of that. So I have this whole in person side to my business, and I've already met so many lovely clients and lovely friends and lovely, like, people who I know are going to be in my life for a really long time and who I know I'm going to share something special with. So it's really exciting. So if you're local to Virginia Beach, come see me there, of course. But yeah, I'm teaching my first tarot workshop this Friday there. So that'll be interesting to teach tarot in person. I kind of taught a little bit of it at an in-person event a while ago, but yeah, this is my first time teaching like an hour-long workshop just around tarot. So I'm really excited. I feel really good about it. Obviously, I know tarot like the back of my hand. I feel very confident with it. So I'm excited to share that with whoever comes. So yeah, the in-person side of my business is going well. I'm on break from school, so I'm not starting up at school again until like January 6th. I think I have a few assignments to do at the end of this year, but um, yeah, I'm closer and closer to getting a degree. It's still a long journey ahead, but I feel more clear on that path than ever before. So I feel very good about that. I have a boyfriend now. I know. I know. I know. I have a boyfriend now. He got me roses and my favorite candy and asked me to be his girlfriend on November 22nd. I don't know. I've been feeling really weird though about like sharing that on social media because I do kind of regret, and I hate that I don't, regret is a strong word for me. I don't really regret anything, but I do wish I had not shared my ex on social media because I had to like go, like, I don't know, my business is such a personal thing to me and such a huge part of me and my purpose and my soul. So it's such a big deal on that aspect, but it's also like I need to be careful about whose energy I share on there because of my audience is going to see that too. And I care a lot about you guys. I care about who comes into my world, who comes into an offer. It's I want to protect y'all's energy too. And I think putting my ex on social media and me having to like remove him from all the highlights and stuff was kind of like it felt really icky on like a business owner perspective, but also just a personal perspective, of course. Like I already have to delete everything anyway, so now I have to into my business and delete stuff out of that too, which just felt like way too close to home, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to be he does social media too, so I think eventually and I also don't want it to seem like I think that I'm like famous or something. It's not about that whatsoever. I'm like I don't want to go public yet because like I don't want all the comments and like no, it's literally not even that. People are going to be so happy for me. It's not that. It's I just want to be careful about how fast I go with someone and how open and vulnerable I become with someone too. I don't want to do that too quickly. And me posting him on social media and being like loud and proud about it on social media in my business feels like it's not the right time yet for that. So I don't know. I don't know why I spent so much time talking about that just now, but just a little boyfriend update. We're doing very well. He's really lovely. He's really lovely. I like him a lot, and I'm very excited to see where things go. It feels very stable and healthy, and I can't wait to share more about that soon because it has also, of course, taught me so much. So, yeah, that's another update. I'm starting to do marketing work for my mom's company, 217 Marketing, who obviously she helped me basically build my whole business from the ground up. So, it's an honor to work alongside my mom, the CEO of 217 Marketing. And I'm getting my first client this week. So my first like full website and logo design, like the full shebang kind of client. I've of course done more work for other clients, but I'm getting like a little internship for school out of this work. And I'm also like having my first big client contract come up this week. So if you can't tell, I'm a manifesting generator and I have to have my hands in like a million different things at once. So I got a lot going on, but I love it. And I'm making money the way I want to make money. And I'm, I feel good. I feel good about my life right now. And I'm learning myself. I'm learning how to like parent and take care of myself and be my own boyfriend, be my own girlfriend, be my own mom, be my own dad, be my own best friend. And it's scary, but that's the path that I'm on, and I can't wait to share more. So that's a little update on my life. I don't know. I just wanted like a little bit of a personal aspect to this episode. I do have a coffee with me. This looks aesthetic as fuck. Oh my God. Listen to this. I know y'all like that. So, like I said in the beginning, take notes, speed this episode up, slow it down, pause when you need, replay when you need, share with your people that you think need to hear this. Grab a crystal, maybe garden a little bit, have a little coffee, do your thing, get comfy, and we're gonna dive in. Um, so yeah, let me pull up my notes. I want to talk about how to stop doubting your intuition once and for all. I think that's what I want to call the episode. But it sounds a little like boring. Like that to me sounds a little boring. We're going to be talking about like deeper stuff than just like the how to step by step things you can do. I mean, I'm going to mention like different actions you can take and stuff like that, but I want to talk about my journey and how this kind of transformed within myself and what I believe this is kind of a whole identity shift that you have to go through in order to kind of transmute the doubt in yourself into power and assurance and confidence. Um, so yeah. So we're gonna tackle one of the most common struggles in the spiritual community nowadays, and that's doubting your intuition. If you're just now getting into all of this spiritual stuff, you're figuring out what gifts are your strongest and what you need to maybe work on a little bit more, what topics and modalities and practices that you want to dive into more, and what you want to do with your gifts. If you want to kind of keep them to yourself in your own life, or if you want to share them, maybe you want to grow a spiritual business yourself, like whatever spiritual journey path you are on now, you're going to run into the obstacle of doubt in yourself. And this was effing huge for me when I first started reading tarot and when I first started my witchcraft journey in 2020. In 2020, I got my first tarot deck from a witch on Etsy and my first box of witchcraft supplies on the same day, and I dove straight in. And what's interesting about my journey is I didn't have a lot of doubt right at the beginning. I immediately dove into everything with like playful, childlike energy and not so much like, okay, let's see if this works. Let's try it out. Like, oh, let's see if I'm good at it. Like, I wasn't testing it. I just was like, oh my God, I just learned about this cool tool and now I'm going to use it. Like, there was literally no doubt in my mind that this worked or that this was something that I would have maybe be good at. Like there was literally like no doubt in my head, which is a fucking blessing. Like that's how I knew I needed to do this the rest of my life, is because it came so naturally to me. However, that doesn't mean I never had doubt in myself. So as the months went by, I do remember doing readings for other people, starting to do readings for other people. And if I didn't say something, it, now that I think about it, it's interesting because when I first started doing readings, it was doing readings for people that had doubt in me. And it was doing readings for kind of not my ideal client or my ideal sitter. And if you don't know, a sitter is someone who you're doing the reading for, someone who is sitting in on the reading you're giving. So I was kind of doing this to the wrong sitters. It was my mom's friends who like were 50 some 40, 50 something years old who like is like, okay, let's have your 16-year-old daughter like read tarot for us. Like there's automatically in their brain such a negative connotation and like, okay, like such a like a bullshit kind of notion to that. And I still was very strong in my confidence and how I read tarot. I was still very confident and still kept it flowing, but I remember being met with doubt and that kind of, and I started to internalize that, and that became the doubt in my intuition. So that's kind of how mine formed, which is interesting. It's an interesting way that that obstacle came about for me because most of the time with the clients that come to see me, my students that come to see me, they are mostly like just now diving into the stuff, already doubting themselves. So it's a different kind of way you have to um, approach kind of deconditioning that doubt and getting rid of that doubt, healing that doubt. So from anyway, back to me, the important thing. No, I'm kidding. But I started to see these people who I've known my whole life meet my gift and my and it's and the way this came about, I want to emphasize how blessed I am for real. Because when I first started all of this, I kept it away from my dad's side because I knew they were going to think it's evil and because they were more religious. So when I got to my mom's house, I was a full-blown witch and tarot reader immediately because it just came so naturally to me, right? But my mom was okay with that. And she fostered an environment where I was supported in that. So her friends coming over was the first like skepticism and doubt I was met with. And then I internalized it, right? So, okay, sorry, all my camera turned off. Okay, so now I know that happens every time I use it. Cool. So anyway, back to the reason of why I want to talk about this and kind of my experience with doubting my intuition. I started to internalize this doubt and skepticism that I was being met with in the beginning of my journey. I started to internalize this because for example, I would read tarot for one of my mom's friends, and they would be like, that doesn't make exact sense. Like, it doesn't really make exact sense. Like, they would try to test me. I was tested a lot. I was poked at a lot. I was made fun of a lot. And my psychic gifts turned out to be right in the end anyway. So for example, when one lady would go, oh, that's not really accurate, I would say it the exact same thing in another way, and then she'd be like, oh, that makes more sense, there we go. And then she would like leave that reading being doubtful of my abilities because, oh, I didn't get it right the first time. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to read people who don't understand how psychic gifts and tarot works in the first place. So that's my first piece of advice is in order to avoid doubting your intuition, protect your energy while you read, meaning pick and choose your sitters and the people that you read very wisely because not everyone deserves your gifts or can have the capacity to understand them. Like these people just didn't have the capacity to like understand how a reading works, how intuition works, how psychic gifts work. So of course when you read someone like that, you could say anything and they'll still be skeptical and doubtful, right? So you have to first be sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are open-minded and who understand how this stuff works and not even fully, but even just a little bit. Like, don't perform your gifts for people who are so close-minded and rigid in their thinking already, because it's a lose-lose situation for both of you. You could be accurate as fuck, and you're still going to be met with skepticism, and then you're going to feel bad about yourself because they projected their doubt onto you. It's just a big mess. So that's kind of what I went through in the beginning of my journey. um so yeah, that's kind of where my experience is coming from. But down the line it did get worse in a way because I was like, do we like the candle lit in the back? Kind of cute, huh? You can't tell it's lit at all. It is though, it's cool. Anyway, sorry, I was just looking at the camera. But down the line, like years went by and I still kind of had this doubt in myself. And a lot of it did, I think tools and certain things that are calling to you in the spiritual space are meant to be in your life to simply mirror lessons to you. So what I mean by that is when I think about the doubt I have with my intuition and my own psychic gifts, if I feel into it in my body, it stems from low self-esteem. And I think when tarot and witchcraft entered my life, all these were tools and practices that were meant to mirror lessons and my wounds back to me so that I could heal them. So, of course, when I first started tarot, like when I literally pulled my first card, and before that, I wasn't really doubting my intuition, psychic gifts because I didn't have tarot to show me that I even had that doubt in the first place, if that makes sense. And doubting your intuition is deeper. It's a way deeper thing than just, oh, I'm scared I'm gonna be wrong. It's deeper than that. You don't believe in yourself. Like that's what it is you don't believe in yourself and you aren't confident enough in your ability to show up for people and your ability to learn on your wisdom, spiritual, physical, and human earthly wisdom, all of it. And that's what I'm figuring out. Flash forward to today is like looking back, I know that if doubt comes up, like I rarely have doubt when I do reading, like doubt in myself when I do readings nowadays, thank God. But and it, and I don't want you to think that I'm perfect either. Like I will always have a little teeny doubt in me. We're human, right? Our egos are always trying to protect us. Um, so of course we're going to have a little bit of doubt in ourselves. It's not like we're going to be, I mean, a lot of people are very confident in themselves, but I don't think anyone is 100% confident in themselves, especially when it comes to magic and the spiritual space, because it's hard for your human brain to believe in yourself so hard and to tell you nice thoughts 100% of the time when a lot of this stuff takes a lot of faith and it takes a lot of belief and not a lot of physical evidence a lot of the time. There's a lot of physical evidence out there of magic, but when you're first starting, it's hard to place your belief in that because it is so new. Place your solid belief in that and in yourself because it is so new. Um, but you will get used to it. It gets so much better as you keep practicing. It gets so much better as you keep practicing. Okay. Um, but yeah, it is. I don't even know what I was talking about in the first place. I definitely interrupted my own thought just there. But that's why I keep calling this an identity shift, is because if you are having trouble trusting that you're intuitive and that you are psychic and that you can do readings for other people, you can read tarot, you can talk to dead people, you can do all this stuff. Like you actually can. But if you're still doubting that, it's because you don't have a solid belief in yourself. It's because you don't believe in the magic. It's because you don't believe in your ability to show up. It's an entire identity shift. You have to start believing and embodying that you are a psychic medium witch. You have to start embodying that and being convicted in that first and believing that you are this new identity before you start even practicing it. Because if, I mean, you can practice it, but you're going to have a lot of doubt, right? So that's a little intro, okay? That's a little bit of an intro. So, I want to talk about what intuition is and how it can like show up in the body and how it can show up on your journey. So, I remember when I first started reading tarot, it was I've always had let me look. I I will literally be doing this the rest of my life. Ooh, my ear is ringing. Um, I will be doing this the rest of my life, and I still don't know what like clairsentience is. Like I always just get them mixed up. Okay. Clairvoyance. I was very, oh, excuse me, I was very much clairvoyant, clear seeing since I was born. I could literally close my eyes right now and tell you like a whole story that's playing out in my mind's eye. Like this thing My third eye is constantly going. I'm constantly imagining things. I'm constantly dreaming, daydreaming. I can very easily get caught up in here if I don't go back into my body. So my intuition showed up very clearly in my third eye and my mind's eye right away. And then it started to turn into, I never really got feelings in my body because I am so like up here all the time um and stuff like that. I'm naturally not a very grounded person. So my intuition and psychic abilities didn't really show up in the body as much. When I started doing mediumship, that's when there was certain sensations in my body that sometimes told a story that the spirit would give me. So down the line, I did develop clear feeling, which is clairsentience. So I swear to God, I have these memorized. Just right now, I can't remember. Okay, I'm still credible. All right, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one judging myself for that. So anyway, I'm pretty like this shit's hard to memorize. Okay, anyway, coffee break. Hold on. All right. So yeah, clear seeing came very naturally. I would be dreaming a lot. I would see things in my mind's eye play out, and then they would happen in real life. And especially when I started reading tarot, and you put a physical tool with that kind of intuition, natural intuition already. When I would pull cards, I would literally see a physical story playing out in front of my eyes with the imagery and the meanings of the cards. And I started developing clairaudience, which was clear hearing, which not all the time does that mean you're going to hear voices out loud like you're hearing me right now. It's mostly just voices in your head. So that's where it can get kind of crazy or feel kind of crazy because a lot of people will be like, am I fucking crazy because I hear voices in my head? No, 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 it's not that. And then a lot of people will ask me if they have schizophrenia. No, you don't have schizophrenia. The difference between schizophrenia and clairaudience and hearing voices is that these can be backed up with evidence and they never tell you anything harmful. So with schizophrenia, these voices will be harmful or evil, or if they have like a religious root to them, like it is a very much it's obvious when it's a mental health issue. So I want us to really be clear about that because there's a lot of spiritual bypassing when it comes to that, and a lot of spiritual gifts will be obviously mental illness, and people are just labeling it as spiritual gifts because they are not very grounded in this reality. So I want to make that clear. So clairaudience can come up as hearing messages in your head. And especially when I started reading tarot, that's when I started hearing like my own voice in my head say something or another voice sometimes. It's mostly my own voice, will speak to what the cards are saying. So, say I pulled the strength card, oh, this person needs to have more courage. And then I would say that out loud. That sentence would pop up in my brain. And then I would say it out loud to them. And then they would be like, yeah, I definitely do. Like that's how clairaudience would kind of work out for me. I definitely have been an empath my entire life. So, clear empathy is one of them on this fucking website. It says clear emotions. I've never heard that clear in my life. It's just being an empath. I definitely feel that. And that's when I started to learn to protect my energy in readings so I don't absorb other people's emotions or carry their emotional baggage with me because I'm such a sponge. I could easily soak that up. But anyway, so now that we kind of are understanding some examples of how intuition can show up, I want to emphasize how natural intuition is and what a vital tool it is in it's our inner compass. I mean, I feel like we've all heard that, right? When we learn to listen to our intuition, we are learning how to listen to our inner guidance, our inner compass, and it points us in the right direction in life. And that is vital and crucial. So, when you're starting your spiritual practice, then one of the number one things I need you to learn is how your intuition speaks to you. Are you open to it speaking to you in different ways? Is doubt coming up when you tap into that intuition? I want you to understand that intuition is always going to be there. It's never going to go away. I want you to understand the difference between anxiety and intuition. I want you to get really familiar with your intuitive language because That's where a lot of doubt comes up with intuitives is they don't feel solid in their intuition because they haven't built a solid relationship with it. Your intuition is your best friend. That voice and feeling, that gut feeling, that intuitive feeling, the downloads, the inner voice, your inner world, that is your intuition. You have to get so familiar with it, or else you're going to doubt it. You have to build a rock solid foundation with your inner world, and then you won't have any doubt in your intuition because you know what it's saying. You know how to listen to it. You know what it's showing you. You know how it shows up. And you're like, okay, that's my intuition. And now I'm going to relay that information confidently, or I'm going to take that action confidently because my intuition said so. It's a conviction and it's an authority that you have to take on to yourself. And that's why I'm saying it's kind of a self esteem thing because it's like the higher your self esteem, the more confident in yourself and the more confident you'll be in knowing how your intuition speaks to you. I hope that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this episode and this episode called to you, you're probably overthinking, second guessing, needing external validation to validate what you're experiencing or what you're feeling or seeing or hearing or whatever. Um, I want to bring up a few points here if you're experiencing all of this when it comes to your intuition and your psychic abilities. I want to talk about societal conditioning, logic, and fear that can lead to ignoring or questioning your intuitive insights. So when we think about societal conditioning, we're constantly taught to go outside of ourselves for answers, whether that's in a religious background, you're constantly taught that God is better than you, that a pastor is better than you, that a priest is better than you. You have to go through them to get any kind of spiritual guidance, right? We are constantly taught to listen to a man if you're a woman. We are constantly taught that the patriarchy is the way to go, that men are on top and they know it all. So we're taught to go outside of ourselves to men. We're taught to go outside of ourselves. Even I will say in the spiritual community, we're taught to go to other readers for validation. And that's why what I do is so important because I want to teach you how to never, I mean, you don't, I won't say never, but how to not lean on other readers so hard. Be your own reader, your own spiritual mentor. Um, I mean, even I go to readers sometimes, but it's very rare, very rare. And it's not to say I have it all figured out. It's that I know me best, right? And I feel confident in the decisions I've made and they've gotten me this far, right? I'm doing good. So I feel good in listening to myself. And so yeah, there's that. But those are three very relevant examples of how we are taught in society to go outside of ourselves. In school, we're constantly taught to listen to authority, to listen to teachers. They know it all. Like all these adults in our lives, or men in our lives, or religious people in our lives that know it all. No one fucking taught us how to listen to ourselves. Like literally no one taught, maybe someone taught you. No one taught me how to follow the beat of my own drum. No one taught me that. It's interesting. No one taught me how to listen to my intuition, how to and think about this. Women nowadays too, but mostly throughout the centuries, if we acted on our intuition, if we acted on our witchcraft abilities, on our psychic abilities, on our healing abilities, we were burned at the stake. So there's also a witch wound there, right? So I want to first validate where you are. If you're doubting your intuition, you're doubting your psychic abilities, of course you are. That's so valid. That's so normal to feel. And I want to just say that first. But I also want to bring up the point, like, and show your brain that you were never taught how to listen to your own voice. So it's time to learn that now. And your intuition is inside of you, screaming your name, waiting to be heard, waiting to build a relationship with you. Because throughout your whole life, with all these examples I've given, society has turned you away from it. So, of course, you are where you are now. It's not that it's your fault. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's just the world we live in today. And that's why it's such a big part of your purpose to come back to yourself in that way. So, with that being said, um, I want to also touch, so we kind of talked about societal conditioning, but I want to talk about logic. So I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I have talked about this on my Instagram and TikTok a lot too, but The one of the number one questions I get is how to differentiate between your anxiety and your intuition. And the number one piece of advice I have for this and how I kind of teach my students this is how does it show up in your body? So intuition is a very flowing, almost feminine kind of feeling, or it's just kind of an assured flow. Um, it doesn't ensue panic in your body ever. Intuition never does that. Never. It's always a calm knowing that just shows up when you're open, and it kind of shows up on its own. Of course, if you're a reader, you learn how to tap into it intentionally, but um if you are, most of the times when people ask this, it's because they have anxiety, and I have anxiety. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder in, I think, 2019. So I have a severe anxiety disorder. I've been off, like, my therapist told me to get medicated and I was like, no. So yeah, I know anxiety is what I'm trying to say. So the way I differentiated it is because what? The way I differentiated it is when anxiety, I know where anxiety shows up in my body. It's always in my solar plexus area, like right in between my ribs. It's like an anxious, tense pit in my stomach that makes me feel like something bad is about to happen. It's worry, it's nervousness, it's tense, it's anxiety, right? That's how anxiety shows up in my body. And especially in my head, when I get that feeling in my body, it's because it's caused by the thoughts in my head. So, or the other way around. So, like, the feeling will show up first, and then thoughts will come in my body, like, oh my God, something's wrong. I can literally feel it now. Or I'll have like doubt or anxious thoughts, and that'll kind of show up, the feeling will show up in my body. So that's kind of how my anxiety shows up. So I learned over time that when anxiety shows up in my brain, it's always paranoid thoughts. It's always thoughts that ensue panic. It's always thoughts that feel rushed and like freaky, like literally like cracked out, like so crazy. That's how the feeling and the thought shows up in my body, right? With intuition, it never has felt that way. The most accurate readings I've done, it was in a state where I was so calm, my nervous system was centered, I was fully embodied in myself and who and my gifts and what I know I can do. Any intuitive hits and messages that I got throughout those accurate as fuck readings, they came calmly, they came strong, they came flowing out of me. It never was like, I guess it's this, and like, probably this. Like, it was assured, it was, I can see you're going through this. Oh, and there, yep, this is coming through now, and I want you to know this. Like, it's very calm. And that is not to say that you have to be like so calm and like feminine and like flowy with your readings. Like, read however you want. Intuition is simply never, the way you can differentiate it is because it is, oh my God, why do I keep saying that? Is because the way you can differentiate intuition and anxiety, intuition never ensues panic, danger, or paranoia. Anxiety will do that. So there's that, there's that. And when we think about logic, like our ego brain coming in and our anxiety and our intuitive side coming in, those two different things, they're both needed. Okay, like our ego and our logic brain is always needed. Never try to shut that out, but you can learn how to differentiate that. So, well, I won't share that, but I'm trying to, I do a few exercises to kind of differentiate these two different voices with my students in practice readings. There's this yeah, okay, I will share this. There's this one exercise I do where if you close your eyes and you tune into a situation in your life or another person's life, and you're trying to get intuitive guidance on that from your own intuitive voice, or you're trying to hear your guides, whatever, whoever you're trying to communicate with internally with your intuition, psychic gifts, when you close your eyes and tune into that, I want you to imagine your ego, your logical brain, as a person or as a sort of figure, and literally plop them in a chair to the side, and then only focus on the center in this like void space that you see, and just let stories play out and messages and intuitive hits play out and just keep your ego brain, who's talking all the logic and trying to make sense of things and trying to doubt yourself, just sit him. And I always think of a man because I'm like, just sit him to the side and just be like, I don't really need you right now. Thank you, though. I'm going to tune into my intuitive side right now. So you can even like visualize you shutting up your ego for just a hot second, right? Because a lot of the times when you doubt your intuition in a reading or in your meditation practice or your witchcraft practice, it's your brain trying to make sense of things and it won't stop yapping and it won't stop doubting you and it won't stop second guessing and asking questions and you getting in your head, right? You can put that voice to the side and kind of shut them up for a little bit. That's a little fun exercise that we do in readings, but there's kind of a little bit on logic versus intuition and how to differentiate those. Um, I also, yeah, I feel like I did touch on fear a little bit. Sorry, I just knocked my entire desk. I feel like I did touch on fear a little bit, where it's like you are scared to dive into this or to take your gift seriously because you're scared you're going to be wrong and it's going to be embarrassing. I will tell, so an exercise that I do, hold on, I just want to check the time. Yeah. Sorry, I checked my phone. Whoops. An exercise that I do for this that'll really help you is when your brain starts to, well, not, I don't want to say your brain, when you start to stop yourself from, hold on, my hair looks crazy. Whoa. When you start to stop yourself from acting on something, whether that's starting your own spiritual business or offering personal readings or diving into your witchcraft practice or starting to read tarot or starting to do mediumship readings for people or starting to develop your gifts in general, like literally whatever it is, whatever you are stopping yourself from doing, if it's because of fear, let me tell you how I worked through that. So I did have a few times where this fear would pop with it, where this fear would pop up where I would be like, no, no, I don't want to read you because I didn't say this to them, but this is what was playing out in my head, right? I don't want to read you because I'm scared I'm going to be wrong. I'm scared I'm going to say something and they're going to be like, that makes no sense. Like, what are you talking about? You're a fake, you're a fraud. This is fake. This is so embarrassing. Like, that's what anxiety and doubt in your intuition will literally say to you, right? So when these fears came up, and this won't work for everyone, but I walk myself through the worst case scenario. I literally go because sometimes it feels like you're going to die. Like anxiety will literally make you feel like you're going to die. So I walk myself through it. I'm like, okay, I'm scared of this. So what would happen if I got it wrong? What would happen if I was wrong? Well, I would say the wrong piece of information, and then they would say, no, you're wrong. That makes no sense. And then I would say, okay, 1 second, find my center, take a deep breath, get more clear, whether that's pulling more cards, asking more questions, switching the topic. And I would keep it fucking flowing. I would keep going. I would survive. I'm not going to die. You're not going to die if you get something wrong in your intuitive practice. If you get something wrong with psychic gifts, you're going to survive. Every psychic is wrong at least once. Every psychic. I've been wrong like 2 or 3 times. And either way, even if I was wrong 20 times, I'm still a really good psychic, and so are you. Um, Walk yourself through that. Like, be really real with yourself. Be real with your brain. Okay, what are we so afraid of here? What if that happened? So what? We would work through it. We would survive. We would keep going. We would keep growing. We would keep reading. We would keep connecting with people. We would keep helping people. I would still practice. I would still keep practicing. I would still have faith in myself. It doesn't matter why you got it wrong. You just keep going. Like it's we work ourselves up so hard when this journey is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be free flowing and childlike play. I remember when in the beginning of the episode when I first started tarot and witchcraft, I didn't doubt myself because I didn't go in with expectation. I just went in with complete belief in this tool and this magic, and it led me on the right path, and it was accurate as fuck, and it was great. So it's about fun. It's about fun. It's about playing and being a fairy and being a witch and being the magical, spiritual, beautiful person that you are. It's not about being right or wrong or impressing people or, yeah, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about seeing different perspectives, and it's about expanding your mind and sharing that gift in time with others. That's what it's about. Um, what else do I want to talk about, y'all? Let's see. I think I'm good. I mean, this felt pretty nice. I liked everything we touched on today. The camera looks good. The audio is definitely off, but it's okay. Small wins at a time. Right, right. If anyone wants to get me a new office chair for Christmas, that'd be sick. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, yeah. I feel like I touched on everything. It's funny, I'll write notes for the episodes and then I'll kind of just cover them without even looking at them. Does that make sense? Like I'll just kind of flow. Anyway, throughout this episode, I have mentioned my students and some practices I take them through and um, all of that. If you would like to be one of those students, the Guide Within course and container, my Spiritual Awakening 101 course, is always open for enrollment. All you have to do is sign up on my website. It is 8 modules worth of spiritual information. Now, this is for, okay, my camera just shut off again, so we're gonna wrap this up. I need to fix that. But yeah, that course is for the beginner. You get 2 mentorship calls with me, 8 modules worth of in-depth information, everything you need to know about what a spiritual awakening is, what a spiritual journey is, all of the practices and modalities that may or may not call to you. It's very basic level information that I feel everyone needs to know before diving into witchcraft, tarot, mediumship, before titling yourself, before deciding what you're going to do with your spiritual awakening. This is the place to start. It is $555 pay in full or $111 a month for 5 months. You can join at the link in the episode notes, the episode description. I also have the Soul Guidance membership. I'm going to get real personal over there. Right after this, you get bonus episodes every week, every Tuesday for $33 a month in the Soul Guidance membership. So you get weekly episodes every Tuesday, like I said, and then you also get weekly readings and monthly group calls with me. Super fun, exclusive content in there too. Those are like the 2 main spaces I want to highlight right now. But of course, you can always message me, email me. Please leave a review for the podcast if you've been enjoying. Let me know if you want to be on the podcast. If you're a spiritual person yourself and you want to have a fun chat, that is what I'm all about. So reach out to me. I love you all so much. I hope this helped you. Please do fill out that Google form that I mentioned in the beginning. It'll be linked below to share your thoughts, ask any questions that came up. I love you so much. Check out all the links below, and I'll see you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to rate and review Divine Gossip on whatever platform you listened in on. Head to themackenziecollective.com to work with me further. If you have any questions or have any topics you want me to cover or any guests you want me to have on, please email all of that to info@themackenziecollective.com or go to the episode description to fill out my Google form. I love you. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.